Welcome to a new episode of Nails from A to Z. This episode is powered by Glossary Live. Hi, I'm Alicia Ramondo, and welcome to Life on the Free Edge. It's kind of weird, I know, to see me hosting Life on the Free Edge because this is Alex Fox's show, but today is a very special occasion because we're actually going to interview Miss Alex Fox. And so I'm so excited to be here being you on your show, talking to you about your life. Because when you talk about Life on the Free Edge, I mean, you actually are the one that was like, Life on the Free Edge, what a cool name. And it is actually kind of your life. It's like kind of on the free edge. It has been so focused around nails really your whole life. You're a journalist. You've written for the most wonderful magazine in the UK. You have just immersed yourself into the nail industry and became this beacon of nail competitions and nail knowledge and loving up the nail family. And I think everybody deserves to know, how did this happen? Like, where did all of that nail love come from and when did it start?
Okay, so it started with a dream when I was 12 to be either an English teacher or a journalist, because writing and reading were my two most heartfelt things. Unfortunately, on my path, I got to a stage in my education where I got kicked out of my A-levels and told that the beauty of English expression had passed me by. So I was never going to get to university, and I was never going to be a journalist or an English teacher. I muddled along. I came to live in New York for a while as a nanny when I was 20, and I was just muddling about in my life. And then I landed a job on 6 music magazines where I went into the production side and on the advertising production side, and I really, really loved it. Then moved into niche diaries, very strange, for a year and a half, and then an opportunity came up to become an editorial assistant on a trade magazine for photographers. And because I'd done some newspaper work and magazine work, I talked myself into the job just by saying how much I loved writing and how it was my dream to be a journalist. So I got the editorial assistant position. I landed the job and absolutely loved it, but realized I knew absolutely nothing about journalism, and I was really crap. I was embarrassingly bad, and this gorgeous editor that I worked for called Eileen Martin, I think she ended up working on the Times. She taught me so much in a year and a half. It was insane, and I just like a sponge took it all in. And then she left the newspaper, or newspaper magazine, it was kind of more newspaper, and I was given the role of editor.
Oh my goodness.
No, completely unqualified. All I had was my personality and a few writing skills. Anyway, I did that for a while, and it led to me landing, unbelievably so, I landed the job as techniques writer on a team of 10 journalists in London, and I worked on Amateur Photographer magazine and Photo Technique for 4.5 years. And at that time did my City and Guilds in photography, learned loads about all sorts of things because I met the best photographers in the world, wrote about them, did photo shoots, all fabulous. And then I had a baby, and I was traveling 2.5 hours to work and 2.5 hours home every day. Couldn't do that with a baby. So I thought, gosh, looks like my career's over. And then lo and behold, the same company who had employed me for the first editorial assistant job had started the first ever nail magazine in the UK. And they said, Alex, would you like to do 2 or 3 days a week? Well, I thought, I know nothing about nails, but then once upon a time I knew nothing about journalism, so I'll give it a bash. And that's how, that was my entry route into the nail industry, and that was September the 1st, 1998.
Oh, look at that, you even remember exactly the date.
What did happen to me was that I met the greats of the time, particularly in the UK, the greats at the time, so Gigi Rouse, Samantha Sweet, Jackie Jefford at the time, Marion Newman, Keaton Patel, Anthony Buckley, Denise Wright. I mean, I met the greats of the moment and had to go to them and say, you know, I'm doing an article on this, I'm doing an article on that. Please, can you help me? And I very quickly took those collaborations into friendships. And I was able to go to, for example, Gigi Rouse, amazing, and Marion Newman, amazing, because I could go to them and say, could you talk me through a liquid and powder system, please? And what is a P&W? Oh, it's a pink and white. Yeah, what's a pink and white? Tell me, you know, what's a sidewall? I mean, all of it. I had to learn fast and furiously.
And you had great people teaching you fast and furiously.
I did. I had the greats.
You said the greats at the time, but I mean, these are greats of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time, because this is, you know, this is over 20 years ago, and these people are still like the epitome of, you know, what this industry is about.
And I mean, I would like to punctuate just a little moment that really made it special for me. Was I was asked very quickly on in that situation to go to, so I was the staff writer of Nails Plus magazine. I was asked to drive to Coventry, about 100 miles from where I live, to go and see an event where there was going to be demonstrations and nail techs. Go and interview them, Alex. So I walked in not having a clue about anything at all, and was told I could do a face-to-face interview with a Tom Holcomb and an Anthony Buckley. And I thought, okay, it sounds groovy. They're men. I was surprised. Anyway, went into a room, interviewed them both, came out and thought, I was driving home that day and thought, if this is what the nail industry is about, I might just stay. I might have found my little lane in life, having done, you know, 7 years in photography. So I went home very excited, and then everything's been built from there ever since. And also, don't think it was an easy journey, because I can assure you the Samanthas and the Gigis and Keatons, if I published a thing in Nails Plus that was incorrect or just not trade and knowledgeable enough, I got a phone call.
Yeah.
I got a phone call that was like, Alex, don't be doing that again. We know you're green, but could you, you know, step it up, step it up. And I literally took on board every criticism and every nugget of knowledge, and friendships grew. I ended up, and a nice part of this as well, a year into being on Nails Plus, I became the editor, and I was the editor for 4.5 years. Nice. And it was just, it was a journey of discovery, enlightenment, and friendships that I still have, and friendships that these friendships have become family now. They've gone to a new place. So that's my journey in, and it was beautiful.
And you just felt like that this was going to be your home. Like, did you ever think that you were going to lean into other avenues that you thought you were going to go into, or did you just say, this is all I want to do?
No, I do have a nice thing, a nice little moment actually, Alicia, to tell you there, is that I went through a phase, because I think a bit too much, I overthink everything, and especially on a soul level. So I would often sit down and think, you know, is my life about writing about nails, and is that really my purpose? Have I been sent on this planet to write about making nails look pretty? And that's not me belittling the industry, by the way. That's me just looking at my purpose deep inside. And then one day I got an email. This is very early doors, because emails had only just about been invented. So I got an email, and it was a life changer for me. A woman had written to me and said, Alex, I want to thank you. I've had to go into a refuge with my son and change my identity. And while I was living in this place, I came across Nails Plus magazine. And so read your magazine and was inspired to do nails. And it means that I'm now out in the world with my new life. I'm a nail professional, and I can support myself and my child because I found your magazine. And that was the moment I found my lane, because that's when I realized, Jesus, nails is my purpose, because it's not me that made that happen. It was just that that magazine happened to be in front of the right person at the right time. There was no need to thank me, but it did make me realize, hang on, there is something really purposeful here, and it is empowerment. It is helping other people find their lanes and showing them the road and bringing them together and networking and elevating and growing confidence and pulling it all together. That's the moment I found my lane, and that's why I've never left.
Yes. I have a similar story in that it's just like those moments when, you know, when somebody comes to you and says, you know, you changed my life because of something that, you know, you never thought twice about. And that's when you realize that, you know, this is life changing, not just for yourself, but for so many people that that are inspired or moved or change or rethink or, you know, reevaluate because of something that you've had something to do with.
Yes. I think it's the power, as human beings, we forget the power we hold just by association or just by putting something in front of somebody. We don't realize that we can make a huge change in someone else's life.
Yes.
But if we sit back, we know the changes that have been made to us. So that was so powerful for me. I've never looked back from that day.
So now you've found your purpose and your soul and your reason behind doing this, and it just kind of pushed you into, where did you go from then? I mean, because I know for me, it was kind of like almost that cliff jump where you go, okay, I'm not just doing this because it's a job and I'm making money and I'm feeding my family. I'm doing this for a whole new. So that's when you start like volunteering your time and doing things that you wouldn't normally do, or bringing a, you know, nail competition across the world that is a ton of time, a ton of work, a ton of, you know, hair pulling out. For what? I mean, like, why would anybody do that? And it's because there's so much purpose in it. So tell me, what is that?
Obviously, anybody watching this would know that I started Scratch magazine. So that was 2003. And at the time, the beginning of my nail experience, I was watching nail competitions in America, not on TikTok. And I don't actually remember how I even knew about them, to be fair, when we didn't have the access to information we have. But I was watching this fantastic nail competition that was happening abroad in Vegas, and I just wanted a piece of it. I wanted to go and feel it. I don't know why, but I felt that it was something really special. And the UK had nail competitions, absolutely, but I liked the flavour that was happening in the US. And I'd also been to the World Championships in Austria and seen their flavour, and that was fireworks. And I mean, I know you were there, right? Fireworks and all sorts going on, and motorbikes on stage. And I thought, okay, I don't think I'm ever going to do that, but let me see what they're doing in America. So I zipped over to America to work behind the scenes. And when I saw, back then it was called Nail Olympics, and it was beautifully put together by 3 brands, as we know, IBD, Too Much Fun, and Easy Flow, so that it was trying to bring together, and successfully I should say, bring together all nail techs, because it was trying to say, forget what brand you are, let's unite. And I watched this and felt this, and I saw, was it Karen Strom on stage, and Trang, and all these names, and Jay Harvey Yin, and Annika van der Sar. I just saw all these people, and I thought, oh, I need a piece of this, and so does the UK. I don't know, something fired up in my spirit. I also realised that every time I was introduced to a judge, they were lovely, they were delicious, they were warm, and it was like, Alex, nice to meet you, great you're here. Just always warmth, always inclusive, and I just fell in love. And then I said, please, can I take this to London? And I got a big fat yes. So 2005 in May, ran the first one. I was freaked and shocked to find the people that came from abroad. I couldn't believe the uptake was insane for the first one. And by standards now for Nail Olympia London, it was less than half the size.
Right.
But to me, it was like, I don't remember signing up for something this big. And then if you recall, because you were on that floor,
yes.
some of you had brought special little kettles from Japan and were plugging them in, and all our electrics went psh, and obviously better just say the kettles were with the steam to help you get in your C curve,
yes.
in your plastic tips,
yes.
in your nail tips.
Yes.
But yeah, you messed up my entire electrics, so we had to ban kettles on the floor. But
well, if it's not in the rules, you can do what you want. So
yeah, well noted. But to then now answer the question succinctly, the power that I didn't, and when I say power, I mean surging inside me when I stood on the stage that time, and the names were read out. People came up, tears flooding, shaking, going in for the hug, holding me tight after the medal's gone on. I suddenly realised, again, this isn't about nails. This is about human spirit. It's about what's inside. It was about changing other people's lives by doing this. Well, I was doing this, but they'd obviously done this. They'd done all the skilling, and the judging had done all the amazing judging. The judges had done the judging. Suddenly, people's lives were changing, and I've watched those medals change people's lives,
Absolutely.
their careers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want a piece of that. So
yes.
I want the piece that I've got, which is that I'm the one that if I can bring this to the table, and I can bring, and the other thing, I unite nail technicians from all over the globe.
Yes.
I've networked. People know each other because I put on a thing.
Yes.
And that rewards me all the time.
I can tell you that some of my greatest moments in my career have been judging for Nail Olympia London, because when you and Scott Scratch Magazine would take us to dinner the night before, the judges' dinner, and you're sitting there amongst some
royalty.
of these, yes, nail royalty, and you're just like, and normally you wouldn't be able to talk to that person or be around that person because they're a different brand or they're from a different country or they're just too far out of your reach. But being a judge, it just brought everybody together, and you got a hug and a picture and a conversation, and it's just really beautiful. All the aspects of what Nail Olympia has brought, not just for the competitor and for changing people's lives, but even for when you are already in the business as deep as you can get, and you just like, I have a reason I get to talk to, Karen Strom, or I get to hang out with Vicki Peters, it just is, it's special on every single aspect. So
isn't there always someone else to meet?
Yes,
There's always, like, we will never know all the nail professionals of the world because there's always someone,
new ones,
and they're coming up, and then they come into Nail Olympia and start that journey, and we watch them go through. And
I know.
Wonderful.
Being in the industry for this long, it has to be so amazing. And now you've taken another plunge from being just a magazine journalist behind the scenes and only being seen on stage at Nail Olympia, and now you're the host of Life on the Free Edge. You are, one of the partners in glossarylive.com, my partner. I'm so grateful. What brought you to that point in your career?
I guess every journey has to have junctions, or every journey does have junctions, and it's what you do at them. And so my junctions have all, it turns out, have been really, really big ones, and ones that you have to sit back and really say, okay, I need time sitting here and quantifying what it means. And I launched Scratch Magazine 2003, and 18 years later, I realized that that's my junction. I've done everything I can do with that. It's got an amazing editor at the helm who has worked beside me for 11 years in Helena Biggs. She didn't require me anymore. The mentorship program, if you like, was over because she's forming it into her baby, her vision, which isn't so different to mine, by the way, because we worked so incredibly closely together. That vision and journey is very in sync, but everybody has their own flavor. And I felt my flavor needed to be thrown in a different dish. if you like. And so I was ready for change. And like everybody, we had those 2 years during a pandemic where suddenly every day was different and we had to reevaluate certain things. And in that reevaluation of me, I realized I was at a junction. And it was time for me to explore something new, but no way did I want to leave nails. That's not an option. And then you came along and you said, Alex, shall we? And then, you know, the answer came through you. And naturally, this new journey platform project is an extension of who I am and what I've always done, because this is networking, uniting. We're Nails Without Borders. Nails doesn't have a language. Oh yes, it does. One language, nails. And,
right.
You know, and I'm still traveling. I'm doing Nailolympia. I'm traveling. I'm meeting, networking. I'm still doing all the things I love, just in a new, fresh way, and in what is the vision of the future and the way we're all communicating and will continue to.
Thank you for believing in this project, because it is, you know, it is so heartfelt and it is so special, and we care so much about getting the information and the education out there the best way that we possibly can. Thank you so much for being here with us and for spilling your guts and telling your story and letting everybody understand where you've come from and why you love this industry so much, because we all know Alex Fox. And thank you for joining us on this edition of Life on the Free Edge.
For more nail stuff, don't forget to visit glossarylive.com to find inspiration, trends, step-by-steps, and news. It's all about nails.